In the world of entertainment, sometimes things need to be shaken up a bit in order to keep things fresh. A good example is when an actor, known for one style of performing, does a complete 180 and acts in a genre one would never think to find them in, like Jim Carrey or Adam Sandler. This happens a bit in the world of games as well. Enter Criterion Games. This EA-owned studio is known for the immensely popular Burnout series, a racing game where going fast and big crashes were the star of the show. However, in 2006, Criterion conducted a little experiment. They wondered what would it be like to take the concept of tearing apart the racing genre and applying it to something they had never made before, a first-person shooter. The result was Black. So, how did a shooter developed by a team that mostly makes racing games turn out? Well, let's take a look. The story of Black is about as basic as you can get. You play as Sergeant First Class Jack Keller, who's being interrogated by a mysterious man, who asks Keller about a terrorist organization named Seventh Wave, who's been arms smuggling and causing chaos. After being told that if he doesn't cooperate, he will serve a life sentence in prison, be dishonorably discharged, and all his actions declassified, Keller agrees to talk, with you playing through the events of 4 days prior to the interrogation. The team at Criterion had said that an overarching plot was worked more towards the end of development and was an afterthought, and it kinda shows. The bits of plot you do get through the cutscenes are okay, but overall it ends up not mattering, as Black is meant to be one thing and one thing only, a shooter. I mean, hell, the devs refer to the game as gun porn, but more on that in a bit. Like I said, Black is meant to be an upfront shooter, and that's what you get. You play through 8 missions, with each mission having certain objectives you must complete in order to progress. The higher the difficulty, the more objectives are added to the list, a la GoldenEye. These objectives range from destroying certain objects, collecting items, and more, with your HUD showing you where to go. Similar to Halo, Keller has an assortment of guns at his disposal, like pistols, SMGs, assault rifles, shotguns, sniper rifles, explosives, and more, though you can only carry 2 weapons at a time. While some might find that a bit annoying, especially those used to being able to carry a trunk full of guns on their back, I feel it fits the realistic tone the game's going for, although 2 primaries and a secondary slot could have been feasible. Other than unlocking silver versions of guns that have infinite ammo, there isn't much else to say about Black's gameplay, with the only gripe I had being that aiming was a bit on the slow side. As far as multiplayer goes, well, there isn't any. Yeah, in a time when shooters had some kind of multiplayer component, Black keeps it a single-player affair, which, I have to admit, is a bit refreshing. Visually, Black looks really good for the time, and still kinda holds up today. The stages are a bit on the dark and muddy side, which is a bit expected for the tone this game is going for, though the destructible environments are pretty good. Meanwhile, all the enemies and allies on screen look decent enough, although it's a bit hard to tell, as Black has this kind of blur effect going on that, for me anyway, was a bit jarring. The star of the show, though, is the guns. Going back to that gun porn comment from earlier, the guns are all wonderfully detailed, showing off working parts and even going for a slow-mo action when you reload. Continuing with the guns, the audio when you fire them sounds very authentic, showing that Criterion really wanted you to get a true gun action experience.
Give me some fucking covering fire!
On the music side of things, the score was composed by Michael Giacchino, who worked on numerous scores for films such as The Incredibles, Star Wars Rogue One, Spider-Man Homecoming, as well as numerous TV and game series, and Chris Tilton, who worked with Giacchino on many of his projects. Performed by the Hollywood Studio Symphony Orchestra, the score is fantastic, as it goes with the action wonderfully. But if you'd rather shoot up bad guys to, say, Iron Maiden, Black does support custom soundtracks. Meanwhile, the voice cast does a pretty good job keeping you interested in the sort of their story, and actually goes well over the actors in the cutscenes. I mean, you can obviously tell that the actors don't match the voices.
Rumor has it that Division ran a Black Ops group. Lennox was one of them. No ties, no strings.
You expect me to believe we had a terror cell working for us?
You can believe what you want. Fact is, Lennox was off the books, so there's no way to prove it. Very convenient. Lennox did the thing in the Congo, the special in the Philippines. This was professional contract terrorism. Lennox held all the cards. Started making small deviations here, little switches there. Before long, things got out of hand. Mistakes started being made. Costly, bloody mistakes.
Overall, Black is a decent attempt by Criterion to make a more stylized shooter, but as time has gone on, it hasn't aged as well. At the end of the day, it's just a run-of-the-mill shooter that doesn't have much replay value once you beat it. That's not to say Black is a terrible game. I still recommend picking it up. I'm just saying, don't expect much in the package, unless you love gun porn. This is the part of the video where I'd say, man, it would have been great if they'd made a sequel, that way they could improve on the things that had problems with the first one, or maybe add multiplayer or co-op or something like that. Well, the thing is, they almost did. Criterion was planning on making Black 2, but due to some disagreements with EA, it was scrapped. However, some of the team left and worked on the game Body Count, which is a spiritual successor to Black for Xbox 360 and PS3. But I've never played that one, so I'll have to take it at face value. It's sad, though, that despite helping DICE out with Star Wars Battlefront 2 and Battlefield 5, that Criterion never got a shot at another shooter like Black. But who knows? Maybe Black 2 could still be made. Either way, it's nice to see a development team go out of their comfort zone and experiment and create something new and fresh and unique. Well, with that out of the way, this is the Dali Popka telling you, as always, stay green, everybody. I'll see you next time.